till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the bag. Horse stock is a tag.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Protocol 36. Today, I'll be making a list of 5 villains I want to see in the next Spider-Man game. They could be as boss fights in the main game, side missions, or even DLCs. We'll also be talking about villains who haven't appeared in the first game, as we know that some exist, but we haven't seen yet. So I won't be talking about characters like Darkseid, Electro, Mr. Negative, and etc. Now this is my own personal list, so if there's a villain you want to see in the second game, and I didn't put it in the list, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to read it. Starting with number 5, no particular order, Carnage. Now that we know that the symbiote, or at least a version of the symbiote, exists in this universe, which means Venom isn't too far behind to become a villain sooner or later. And after Venom, we know that Carnage is usually next. In the comics, the Carnage symbiote is an offspring of the Venom symbiote and attached itself to the serial killer Cletus Cassidy. I think Carnage would be a perfect villain for a DLC arc after the event of the second game, assuming that they will use Venom. I think Carnage would provide an awesome and physical challenge for Peter and Miles, and may even make the DLCs really dark, as facing him would be violent, with his ability to change the shape of his arms to create weapons, and would be interesting to face a villain who's stronger and faster than Spider-Man himself. At number 4, Flint Marko, aka the Sandman. Sandman is one of my favourite Spider-Man villains, as most interpretations he's just a guy who wants to get by. In a lot of ways he's a very sympathetic villain. We know that Flint exists in this universe, as Aunt May mentioned him, telling him to leave the shelter as there was nothing to steal. You gotta love Aunt May. And there is a backpack on top of Avengers Tower, which inside has a small vial, which Peter notes. Still not sure that this would set the Sandman free, but I'm in no hurry to find out. So Marko is currently contained by Peter, and in just a matter of time he will get out. The last time he appeared in a video game was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is only available in Nintendo Switch, but when talking about other consoles from previous generations, he was in Shattered Dimension, where he was one of the bosses you face as the classic Spider-Man. The potential when it comes to gameplay for Sandman is limitless, as one stage you can have us face him in his normal size and make him use weapons, and then the next stage have him transform into a huge sand monster, similar to Shattered Dimension and the Spider-Man 3 movie tie-in game. Therefore have the players to use their brains to beat Marko, like Peter usually does. Number 3, Mysterio. Mysterio is also a character we know exists in this universe, with one of the students of Empire State University dressing up as the villain in a Halloween party, and there are multiple backpacks referencing directly mentioning Mysterio and their fights. We've seen Quentin Beck in the flesh in one of Marvel's Spider-Man comics, which is considered canon to the universe. After the success of Spider-Man Far From Home, I have a hard time believing Insomniac wouldn't include the villain in the next game, but we have to wait and see to find out. It would be interesting to see which illusions are real and which are fake, allowing the player to rely on Peter's spider sense. But if they choose to make things harder, they could make Beck take away Peter's spider sense temporarily, like he has in the comics, which would force us players to think outside the box. Number 2, Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter being another fan favourite, and a villain who would be perfect for a side mission, or even done well as a boss in the main missions. I can imagine Spider-Man and Kraven boss fight to be similar to Batman and Deathstroke fight in Arkham Origins, which would be amazing, as in the comics Kraven does have the strength and speed which could give Peter a run for his money. We don't know if Peter faced a version of Sege, but even if he hasn't, they could introduce him as a villain Peter has never faced before, which would be interesting to see an experienced Spider-Man go up against a Kraven who's prepared to fight him. Before we get to number 1, here are my honourable mentions. Number 1, Venom. Venom is by far, at least in my opinion, the most interesting in how they will introduce their version of the character. Not only will the gameplay be a huge part of how they will deal with the character, but also how the character will look. And so far, Insomniac hasn't missed when it comes to classic villains design. We don't even know if they will use the Eddie Brock version of Venom, as right now it appears to be attached to Harry, presumably helping him battle the sickness he inherited from his mother. So of all the villains in Spider-Man's rogues gallery, not only is Venom the villain I want most in the game, but the one I'm most curious about how they will handle him. However, what about you guys? Which villains do you want in Marvel Spider-Man 2? Tell me in the comments. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and want more, subscribe. To begin, Protocol 36.